Well, dear A-level, today we are having this a little introduction of coordination. और इसमें आज जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं, the terms we'll be understanding is what is polarized when this term applies to membrane. What is meant by depolarized when we use this term to membrane. So these are the terminologies which we'll be understanding. What is hyperpolarization? Then what's threshold potential difference? Then there's a term resting potential. I wrote them in different order. I mean, it's not the order they appear. It's not the order that we studied in. And then is action potential. Then if time allowed, we'll study some more terms like refractive period and thingy. So let's start with what is meant by polarized. So the membrane of neuron, neuron is a specialized cell. Neuron is just an animal cell which is a bit modified, right? So if this is neuron and the membrane of neuron is polarized. But what does it mean when we say membrane of neuron is polarized? It means that it does not have even distribution of charges across this, right? You understand my point? I mean, polarized means uneven distribution of charges. So charges are not evenly distributed across membrane. This literally means polarized membrane. Yeah, you may say unequal distribution of charges. How is it unequal? Because positive ions are more outside than inside. Outside is positively charged. Outside is largely positive than inside. And that is because there are so many sodium ions. So the potential difference across membrane is actually minus 70. What is meant by minus 70? By the way, this is called resting potential. And beta minus 70 का मतलब ये है कि positive charge is 70 points less inside as compared to outside. This means what? Positive charge is 70 points. Is 70 points less inside. Than outside. It means if there are 100 sodium ions out, how many sodium ions will be inside? 30, very good. If there are 100 out, let me close the WhatsApp. There will be 30 sodium ions in. So ये जो potential difference है ना बेटा, ये जो minus 70 का, this is called resting potential. What is it called? This is the normal potential difference across neuron membrane. So let's see how resting potential is maintained. What is resting potential? What's the value of resting potential? It's negative 70. And how you define resting potential? The potential difference across neuron membrane when it is not stimulated, when stimulus has not disturbed neuron. Yeah, when it is resting. So resting potential of minus 70, how is it maintained? It's maintained by three factors. One is sodium-potassium pump. What does it do? Sodium-potassium pump actively, actively means with the use of respiratory energy. It actively removes 3 sodium ions out versus 2 potassium ions in. So sodium potassium pump makes 3 sodium ions go out versus 2 potassium ions in. But the potassium ions which come in, they can go out. So potassium ions can go back out. Not all of them, but some of them can go back out. But Na plus don't come in. So obviously these 2 points. One point is when sodium potassium pump favors positive outside because it is sending 3 positive out and 2 positive ions in. And then these some of these positive ions, potassium ions can go out, right? So it means the outside is made more positive. Third point, which makes outside more positive, is that potassium ions travel through channels. Ions always go through channel proteins, no? So the potassium channels, the channels which carry potassium ion out, potassium channels letting K positive go out are more in number than what? Than the ones letting potassium in. Do you understand my language? Means there are more potassium channels which let potassium ions go out as compared to the ones which let potassium ions come in. So this also means outside is made more positive or less positive. I think this confuses you. Okay. So can you tell me how outside is made more positive? Number one, sodium potassium pump. What does sodium potassium pump do? It sends 3 sodium ions out and 2 potassium ions in. And this tells us that obviously you are favoring more positive outside. Yes or no? Number one. Number two, the potassium ions which are taken in, they can go out. They can move out. But sodium ions are not allowed to move in. So obviously this favors more positive outside. Third point is that there are potassium channels. Potassium channels means the proteins which transport potassium. So there are 2 types of potassium channels. One which let the potassium move in and ones which let the potassium go out. So I wrote down that the potassium channels which let the potassium ions go out are more in quantity than the potassium channels, than the channel proteins which let potassium come in. So which channels are more? The ones which take potassium out or take potassium in? Out. So obviously this also means that outside positivity is favored. Got it? So far what we studied, what is minus 70? Minus 70 is dash potential. Resting potential, very good. And what is resting potential? It is the potential difference across the membrane of neuron when it is at rest. Got it? And third question is, why is resting potential maintained? 3 points. One is sodium potassium pump. The other is potassium ions can go out. And third, channels which let potassium go out are more in number than the channels which let potassium come in. Done? Yes. So resting potential is clear. Did you get resting potential? Yes. So membrane of neuron, any other membrane. Membrane is polarized, not unpolarized. Polarized. What is meant by polarized membrane? Uneven distribution of charges. And what kind of polarization is in the membrane? That outside is more positive than inside. And what makes this? Under normal condition, neuron membrane ka jo potential difference is that is minus 7. And what helps it have this minus 70 potential difference? We just saw this. That these 3 points. Yes or no? The one in green. Now, the next thing is, for that I'll have to draw the neuron again. A little zoomed in. Now, when there is a stimulus, you know what stimulus does? Stimulus makes sodium ions go in. So this process is called depolarization. What is it called? Depolarization, look, if you look at the word depolarization, it sounds like polarizability is being finished, but it's not this. So polarizability still remains there. Beta, do you know what is polarizability? The unevenness. That still is there, but it gets lesser. Yes or no? Because initially, if positive charge was 70 points less inside, but stimulus makes sodium ions go in, so obviously the difference gets lesser. Means minus 70 का मतलब क्या था? Positive charge is 70 points less inside. But when stimulus makes sodium ions go in, so obviously the difference of positive charge between outside and inside will get more or less? Less. So look, sodium ions go in. So now allow me to write down what is depolarization. What is depolarization? It is when sodium ions move in. Done? When sodium ions move in, what happens? More sodium ions then move in. I mean, entry of sodium ions makes more sodium ions move in. More sodium ions then move in. So what is this the example of? Positive feedback and negative feedback? Beta, entry of sodium positive. Why? Because in positive feedback, disturbance is mashallah, Rahim the great. So this is the example of positive feedback. Because entry of sodium ions is a disturbance. Yes. And that causes more sodium ions to enter. I mean, disturbance is increased. Disturbance goes up. So this is a positive feedback mechanism. Done? Yes. So sodium ions keep coming in. They keep coming in as long as when the potential difference becomes minus 55. I should write on sodium ions keep moving in. Till the potential difference becomes minus 55. Initially it was minus 70, but now it becomes minus 55. And this minus 55 is called threshold potential difference. You know what is threshold literally? The minimum needed, you know? So when threshold potential difference, let me draw the diagram again. अब आप मुझे रिकॉल कराइए सबसे पहले क्या होता है बेटा मेम्ब्रेन ऑफ न्यूरॉन ये न्यूरॉन है ठीक है सो मेम्ब्रेन ऑफ न्यूरॉन इज डैश पी से polarized I mean with uneven distribution of charges more positive ions are outside than inside why is it so because of sodium potassium pump and also because of that potassium ions can leak out but potassium ions they can go but sodium ions can't move in. And third, potassium channels taking potassium out are more in number than potassium channels taking potassium in. So here minus 70 maintained. Then what does stimulus do? Stimulus makes sodium ions move in. Yes or no? So ये जो entry है, this is called dash. Depolarization. D से ना? Delta से. Very good. And this entry of sodium ions causes more sodium ions to enter through a dash feedback mechanism. Positive. इतने sodium ions अंदर आते हैं कि inside becomes largely positive. So sodium ions keep coming in. Ultimately, the potential difference becomes minus 55. What is that? Minus 55. And that minus 55 potential difference, it is called threshold potential difference. And what is meant by threshold potential difference, that's we are understanding. वो जो minus 55 का potential difference है, which is called threshold potential difference, as the word tells threshold, I mean the minimum potential difference. But question is minimum for what? So this is threshold potential difference, means minimum potential difference needed needed to open all sodium channels. I repeat, sodium ions were going in. So then more sodium ions are going in by positive feedback, and minus 55 is achieved. If this is achieved, then almost all sodium channels open at that place where sodium had moved in. So there will be to open, needed to open what? To open almost all sodium channels. Almost all sodium channels open. So that जब सारे सोडियम चैनल खुल जाएंगे बेटा, so there is a huge influx exit. Yeah, no wrong from your side. There is huge influx of sodium ions into the neuron. Got it? When neurons move in, now inside becomes more positive than outside. Yes or no? तो फिर क्या होता है? इसको मेरे को so much sodium ions move into the neuron so much that inside becomes dash positive, more or less. So initially outside was more positive, है ना? तो अब पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस कितना हो जाएगा? +40. Potential difference is achieved. What is meant by +40? What is meant by -70? That positive charge inside is 70 points less than outside. Yes or no? And what's meant by +40? That positive charge inside is 70 points, 40 points more than outside. और ये +40 क्यों होता है बेटा? जब बहुत ज्यादा सोडियम आयन जाते हैं, पहले +30 होता है, initially -70. अंदर नहीं, across the membrane. What is meant by -70? Remember, it means potential difference of -70 मतलब inside membrane is 70 points less positive charge. Positive charge is 70 points less inside membrane. मतलब positive ions are more inside or outside? Outside. तो वो कैसे मेंटेन होता है यहाँ पढ़ चुके हैं, ये ग्रीन में. बट स्टिमुलस क्या करता है बेटा? स्टिमुलस मेक सोडियम आयंस गो, stimulus makes sodium ion go in. This is called dash. Depolarization. ये जो लिखा हुआ रेड में. And this depolarization causes more sodium ions go in. Yeah, and that when sodium ions go in, they cause more sodium ions go in. So this process continues by a positive feedback mechanism. So इतने sodium ions आते हैं that inside gets now potential difference decreases to -55. So -55 is called dash potential difference. Threshold. Threshold literally means the minimum needed. So threshold potential difference means it is the minimum potential difference needed to open all sodium channels. So once entry of sodium ions causes potential difference to go down to -55. When potential difference reaches -55, then all sodium channels open. And there is huge influx of sodium ions. There is what? Huge influx. Influx means inward movement of sodium ions. ये वॉल्यूम सही है? ये लगाएंगे ना? सही है ना? There is huge influx of sodium ions. So much sodium ions move in that now inside becomes positive than outside. Are you there? That now inside becomes more positive than outside. And we say that the potential difference of +40 has been achieved. And this potential difference of +40 is called nerve impulse. What is this? This is called nerve impulse. In fact, this potential difference travels across the neuron. समझ आ रही मेरी बात? This potential difference of what? +40 is called nerve impulse.
इस नर्व अंदर से इसमें मुझे nerve की जो
I mean, what travels through neuron?
Depolarization, stimulate.
Stimulus, light, heat, touch, chemical, pressure.
ये हमारा sensory neuron start होता है.
Yes.
ये sensory neuron वाली ये activity हुई है, उसके बाद एक nerve impulse generate हुई.
जी जी.
और वो फिर आगे.
अभी हमने ट्रांसफर नहीं पढ़ा कि ट्रांसमिट कैसे होती है. अभी हमने ये पढ़ा कि नर्व इम्पल्स जनरेट हुई है. तो व्हाट इज नर्व इम्पल्स? द पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस ऑफ प्लस व्हाट. बस. अभी ट्रेवल कैसे करता है ये अभी हमने बाद में देखना. जैसे फिजिक्स में आप पढ़ते हैं ना, करंट ट्रेवल कर रहे हैं पर इलेक्ट्रॉन्स कभी खत्म नहीं होते. इधर भी वही है. थ्रू न्यूरॉन्स चेंज ट्रेवल्स, आयंस रिमेन एट देयर प्लेस, बट हाउ डज इट ट्रांसमिट? ये बहुत लंबी डिस्कशन, ये बात की है. राइट नाउ हमने ये पढ़ा है कि व्हाट एक्चुअली इज द नर्व इम्पल्स. मतलब मुझे पता है कि व्हेन नीडल गेट्स प्रिक्ड टू माय हैंड, ब्रेन तक मैसेज आता है थ्रू न्यूरॉन. तो हम कहते हैं नर्व इम्पल्स ट्रेवल्स थ्रू न्यूरॉन. But what is nerve impulse? Yeah, what is nerve impulse which travels? Yeah, so nerve impulse is simply the potential difference of plus one. But how does it travel from this to brain is a later discussion. हम इसको बाद में करेंगे. हम सब पूरे को रिकैप कर लेते हैं जल्दी से. Sorry? यूनिट को छोड़ें. मिली वोल्ट. Okay, unit is not relevant. Let's look again. अब अभी तक जो हमने पढ़ा वो आप मुझे बताइए. This is neuron. और वो लगा दी मैंने. चलें. So sodium ion moves in. Yes or no? At this point, for example, sodium ions move in. चलो, neuron at rest has the potential difference of -70. What is meant by it? आप इसको थोड़ा सा म्यूट कर सकते हैं? What is meant by this -70? Potential difference across membrane is -70 का मतलब ये है कि positive charge is 70 points more outside than inside. अब वो बाहर क्यों है? Thanks to 3 points. Number 1 is the sodium potassium pump, which actively sends out 3 sodium ions versus 2 potassium ions move in. So look, sodium potassium pump favors more positivity outside. Then potassium ions which have moved in, they can go out as well. But sodium ions can't move in unless there is stimulus, obviously. And third factor is that the potassium channels which carry potassium out are more in number than the potassium channels which carry potassium in. So all these 3 things favor more positive outside than inside. तो हम कहते हैं potential difference is -70. ये जो -70 है, इस potential difference का नाम है resting potential. What is it?
Resting.
When neuron is at rest. और इसको कौन मेंटेन करता है? वो 3 चीजें जो भी हमने डिस्कस. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, ये तो रेस्टिंग पोटेंशियल है. जब न्यूरॉन रेस्ट पे नहीं होता, जब स्टिमुलस आ जाता है, व्हाट डज द स्टिमुलस डू? स्टिमुलस सेंड्स सोडियम आयन इन. जैसे ही सोडियम आयन अंदर आता है, मोर एंड मोर सोडियम आयंस मूव इन. बट द पॉइंट इज, द मोमेंट सोडियम आयन कम्स इन बिकॉज ऑफ स्टिमुलस, दैट स्टेज इज कॉल्ड डीपोलराइजेशन. व्हाट इज इट कॉल्ड? Depolarization. And then after the entry of 1 sodium ions, more and more sodium keep coming in by positive feedback mechanism. Because positive feedback mechanism is when disturbance is further increased. So disturbance is an entry of sodium ions, which causes more and more sodium ions to move in. So much that a threshold potential difference is made now, -55. पहले तो -70 था. -70 का मतलब था positive ion. क्या मतलब था? Positive charges are 70 points less inside than outside. But when stimulus makes sodium ions go in, and then positive feedback से और sodium ions अंदर जाते हैं, तो फिर ये potential difference कम होकर क्या हो जाता है बेटा? -55. क्या हो जाता है? That -55 is called threshold potential difference. What is it called? Why we call it threshold? Because it's the minimum needed. कि अगर -55 achieve हो गया, then all sodium channels will open to let sodium ions move in like anything. So there is huge influx of sodium ions. जब काफी सारे sodium ions अंदर आ जाते हैं, then obviously inside becomes positive than outside. तो एक नया potential difference बन जाता है, which is called +40. तो +40 का मतलब क्या? जैसे -70 का मीनिंग था कि inside is 70 points less outside. यानी positive charge is 70 points less inside. याद है आपको? तो +40 का क्या मतलब है? कि positive charge is 40 points more inside. Why? Because so much sodium ions are moved in. ये जो +40 का पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस है, दिस इज कॉल्ड व्हाट? एक्शन पोटेंशियल। इसी को नर्व इम्पल्स कहते हैं और यही ट्रांसमिट होता है टिल द ब्रेन, +40 का एक्शन पोटेंशियल। ठीक है, अब वो कैसे ट्रांसमिट होता है वो हम आगे पढ़ेंगे। आई होप अभी तक की बात समझ आ रही है। जो हमने पढ़ा वो यहाँ पे देखते हैं कि बेटा सोडियम आयंस राशन inside gets positive, more sodium ions come in, more come in, so much so that inside gets largely positive ion charge. So the potential difference is +40. Got it? अब बेटा उसके बाद क्या होता है, ये हमारा अगला टॉपिक है और उसका नाम क्या है? ट्रांसमिशन ऑफ नर्व इम्पल्स। क्या बेटा? क्योंकि एक्शन पोटेंशियल नर्व इम्पल्स जनरेट होगी ना, अब वो आगे कैसे जाएगी ये थोड़ा सा देखते हैं। हाँ, वो आगे है। तो जब वो सोडियम आयंस अंदर आते हैं और +40 अचीव हो गया, व्हाट इज दैट +40 बेटा? नहीं, +40 का मतलब क्या? एक्शन पोटेंशियल, या आप कह लो व्हाट इज इट? नर्व इम्पल्स। यस और नो? और ये ट्रांसमिसिबल है। अब सवाल यह कि ये अक्रॉस द न्यूरॉन ट्रांसमिट होती कैसे है? तो वो ये होती है कि जब अंदर बहुत ज्यादा सोडियम आयंस आते हैं ना, पोटेंशियल डिफरेंस +40 हो जाता है, देन फ्रॉम इनसाइड something goes out. What is that? Potassium ion. I repeat. Video. Okay, then let's see transmission of nerve impulse in the next video. Thank you.